here in the North Field with my latest impulse buy. It's a 2000 Jeep Cherokee. I gave $1,000 for it. The dude I bought it from, he's had it 22 years, most of the Jeep's life. It's got low miles, 4 liter, half a tank of gas, and most importantly, it's unmodified. So what's a stock, low mile, fairly clean Cherokee doing selling for $1,000? Let's find out. When I went to check this thing out, I barely looked at it. That way I could really dig into it on camera with you people. So let's pop the hood. I already know that it has an inline 6. I did make sure of that before I bought it. Common theme with this Jeep is it's clean. It's taken care of well. He did show me a few things like the broken kickdown cable, but it looks great under here. But if we pull the oil dipstick here, you'll begin to realize why it was so cheap. Total milkshake in there. Coolant in the oil, so that's why he wanted to sell it. He was an older guy, just didn't want to deal with it, and he put it up for cheap, and I had to jump on it. Coolant will get into the oil for one of 3 reasons: head gasket, cracked head, or cracked block. He told me that he already put 2 head gaskets on it, and since it's a 2000, I'd be willing to bet it's a cracked head. You don't really hear of 4 liters cracking blocks, and these later Jeeps are known for cracking heads, but we'll never know till we tear into it. Let's keep checking this thing out. Front grille, probably repainted, clear coat chipping, it doesn't match too well. Other than the front clip and the hood, the rest of the body is straight, it's nice. The paint is in great shape. It's not too rusty underneath. Looks like rockers were done at some point. They put the lining on or whatever. Solid. It's got a 8 1/4, that's good. No ABS. Fishbowl, no tint from the factory. Just a clean, preserved Cherokee. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this thing. Do I keep it? Do I flip it? We could probably make some money on this thing since we only got it for $1,000. But the interior is immaculate. Everything is in good shape. The seats are in good shape. The back seat, I'm convinced. I don't think anyone's even had their cheeks on there. Oh, and there's a dent right here. But definitely a good project. Now the thing actually runs. I drove it up onto the trailer. Let's fire it up. It's got oil pressure. That's good. Everything else looks fine. You can hear it ticking. I hope this thing's not too far gone. I hope he didn't drive it too much with coolant in the oil. But enough gandering. Let's get this thing down in the shop. See what's going on with it. Oh, she's running rough. The engine got a little bit warm. It's pretty rough. Survive! I'm just babying the throttle right now. And stop. And there goes the oil pressure. Shut her down. We will start where any reasonable man would start. Taking off the hood. You've seen all the damage. We'll probably have to, oh, I don't know, replace the hood or paint the hood. Can't say I've ever done this alone. The hood light works. Oh, that's awesome. Now that we have the hood off, the plan is take off the coil rail, take out the spark plugs, read the spark plugs, compression test, and then we'll drain the oil. And then based on all the information we gather, we'll make a decision whether we're gonna try and replace the head, if we're gonna pull the motor, what we're gonna do. So let's get pulling that coil rail off. So I'm not sure what you've seen when I was backing it in, but definitely smoking white, burning coolant. I don't see any visible leaks on the block just yet, but maybe that'll change as we dig into it. Now, let's see how this kickdown cable broke off. Got taped up pretty good there. There's some, oh, some rope in here too. Hey, whatever works. That's awesome. Swing that guy out of the way. Unplug the coil rail. Should be it. 4 1/2-inch bolts. Out comes the coil rail, exposing our spark plugs. Spark plugs are out, and we got some interesting results. Check it out. These are in order, and they're looking pretty normal, except for these 2 right here. they're a lot more white on the tips. That can mean that coolant is getting burned in those cylinders and it's actually cleaning the spark plugs. Let's do a compression test and see what that tells us. We got our compression test hooked up on the number 1. We'll turn the engine over. Nothing's gonna happen because there's no spark plugs. XJ's 120 to 150 PSI. Right smack in the middle of 120 and 150. So we'll call it 135. Move over to number 2. Closer to 150 on the higher side. Let's hook up number 3. 150 on the money. Closer to 150 again. What I'm looking for is a cylinder that has noticeably lower compression. Keep in mind, cylinder 4 and 5 were the ones that had those white spark plugs. That one's about 135, just like cylinder 1. All right, last one, number 6. 150. All right, so the XJ passed its compression test. That's not a guarantee for anything. Let's roll underneath and pull that drain bolt, see what that oil looks like. Oh man, it's tight underneath a stock XJ. Tight. Oh yeah. Looks like a caramel latte. Wow, that ain't good. Well, we'll let that run its course. I'm draining the coolant too, because no matter what we do, we're gonna have to drain the coolant. Let's talk about that. Do we pull the head off in here, or do we just pull the engine out and put it on a stand? I'd really like to take off the oil pan and take a look in there and see the condition of the oil pump, how sludged up it is in there. That'd be good to see. Even on a lifted XJ, dropping the oil pan is not fun, let alone a stock ride height where the axle is even closer to the pan. I don't even want to talk about it. I've swapped out heads with the engine in the Jeep. It's not that bad, except for the intake and exhaust manifold bolts. They're shared and not fun to get to with everything in here. Honestly, I think I just talked myself into pulling the engine. I think it'll be easier. Doing everything on a stand, we can really check things out. We can pull off the bearing caps, check out the main bearings. We can spend a whole video doing that, getting the engine out, but I think that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Let me know what you think of the Jeep. Hope you enjoyed it. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.